You ever pull up to a stretch of land so empty, so wide open, it feels like you can finally stretch your soul out to full size? That's exactly how it was the first time we bounced our trailer up that dusty Arizona road, kids hollering in the back, my wife barefoot before the truck even stopped, wind in her hair, and eyes sparkling with this look I'd almost forgotten she had. 20 acres of freedom junipers, throwing long shadows, nothing but the sound of our own voices. And the wind, no neighbors, no newsletters taped to the door, no committee squinting at the shade of our house. I swear the air tasted different, richer, like the life I'd promised myself when I used to stare out court windows and dream about actual independence. We didn't even touch the trailer at first. The kids went tearing off. My wife kicked her boots off and started sketching imaginary gardens with her toes, and I set to anchoring the tent. All the paperwork was squared away. Parcel numbers, zoning, deed, nobody could touch us. That's what I thought anyway. But if you've ever dealt with a homeowners association, you know trouble doesn't come with a warning shot. It shows up with a white SUV, a logo slapped on the side like a sheriff's badge, and a woman in pearls who looks like she's been waiting her whole life to call the cops on someone just for existing. They didn't slow down, pulled right up, three of them piling out all attitude and no introductions. She called herself the president, like it was an elected office, spat words like trespass, 15 minutes to vacate HOA jurisdiction, while the guys with her started eyeing my generator like it already belonged to them. I stayed calm. I handed her the folder, the receipts, the maps, every notarized scrap of proof this land was ours and always had been. She flipped through it, barely glanced, and tossed it back at my chest like I'd just handed her the rules for Monopoly. It was never a misunderstanding. It was a power play. She barked at her goons to start hauling off our gear. One of them grabbed the generator, the other squared up to me, hand drifting to his baton like he was itching for a show. 10 years as a Marine don't exactly disappear, you know. One warning was all he got. He lunged. I put him in the dirt. His buddy didn't fare much better, call her dirt done. The so-called president, let's just call her Karen, because fate has a sense of humor, started screaming about assault, promising the real cops would deal with me. 15 minutes later, the sheriff pulled up, lights off, all business. He looked over the scene, two guys groaning in the dirt, me holding my thermos, and took his time reading the paperwork. "You're not in their jurisdiction," he said, almost grinning. "They've got no claim here." Turned to Karen and her goons, read them the riot act about trespassing, told them to clear out or face charges themselves. You ever see someone get the rug yanked out from under their power trip? Karen's face in the SUV window as they peeled off said it all. My wife just stood beside me, silent, eyes wide, half shocked, half proud. But people like that don't just give up. A few days later, mail truck lurches up our makeshift driveway. Big envelope, too thick to be anything but Trouble Canyon Ridge HOA in bold, aggressive letters. Inside a packet that reeked of smug. Notice of fines, threats about illegal structures, $8,000 bill for tents, solar showers, generators, and the crime of not submitting plans to an HOA committee that doesn't even exist out here. There's even a ruling scribbled in margins from some backyard meeting over lemonade and vodka spritzers. I laughed, but my wife, she nearly marched it back herself, shredded it and mailed it to them with the kids' mud pies. Instead, I called an old county contact, explained the whole circus. He sighed so deep you'd think he'd heard this story 100 times and promised to flag it for the district attorney. Next thing I know, I'm filing official complaints, bundling digital scans of their fake rulings, notarized affidavits, overlays of their fantasy maps, next to the real deal. All of it. I sent Karen a certified cease and desist. Wasn't about scaring her. It was about putting the court on notice. Didn't stop her, though. That night, SUV headlights hovered on the Ridge engine, idling in the dark like a warning. I bought trail cameras, put up surveillance signs every 100 feet. If they wanted to play games, I could play harder. Then came the flyers in every neighbor's mailbox. Unregulated squatter camp. Threatens Canyon Ridge, glossy photos, wild accusations. They called my wife's cousins unauthorized foreign contractors from Flagstaff, mind you. Claimed we were drilling illegal wells, running livestock without permits. Karen's creativity knew no bounds. But the worst part, they started forging county documents, slapping fake seals on their HOA rulings. That's when I called Ben, an old friend who specializes in land fraud. He practically cackled, told me I was sitting on a textbook case of boundary fraud, said this was criminal, not just civil. By now, I'd gone full bunker mode, backed up every document, dug out microfilm records going back decades showing my land was always outside HOA jurisdiction, called in a GIS specialist, Kevin, who overlaid maps and found not only was I safe, but 4 HOA homes were actually built on federal land they never owned. Turns out Karen's crowd had been selling access to land they didn't even control, raking in fees for a fantasy. I bundled every scrap of this mess, submitted it to the prosecutor, even printed it out for a dramatic handoff at the county office. They started taking it seriously, inspectors crawling over the property, measuring boundaries, cataloging every camera, every sign, every incident. They found Karen's goons using my fence line as their own private shortcut, urinating by my chicken coop, just piling on the evidence. But Karen, she couldn't quit. She showed up alone, clipboard and smugness, tried to serve me another fake citation, this time with a hand-drawn stamp that looked like a kid's craft project. I filed for an injunction. Turns out I wasn't the only one. Neighbors and ex-board members started calling me, sharing their own stories. A journalist got wind, ran with the story how a rogue HOA tried to swallow private land and got exposed on camera. The article spread like wildfire. Right as the pressure hit fever pitch, Karen doubled down, built a prefab HOA annex kiosk right at the edge of my land, plastered with flyers, QR codes linking to a hit site full of doctored photos and lies about my family. It was so over the top, I had to laugh. I called the journalist back, filed new complaints for defamation and fraud, tracked the donation link on her flyers to Karen's personal PayPal. Illegal fundraising, rack up another charge. With Kevin's help, we found a family that paid tens of thousands for exclusive HOA access to land that was, in reality, federal property. They joined our complaint. It turned into a multi-party suit: real estate fraud, land misuse, civil rights violations. Subpoenas started flying. When the prosecutors got hold of HOA records, it was like hitting oil: secret meetings, missing funds, fake security contractors. One guy had a rap sheet in 2 states, and the cherry on top, emails from Karen herself planning to harass us out. The sheriff issued a warrant for her arrest, charges from forgery to harassment and finally racketeering. Her mugshot ended up on the front page, looked like someone had told her mimosa brunch was canceled for life. Even as the walls closed in, her crew tried one last trick, caught on camera at 2 a.m. sister-in-law, in a hoodie, digging up boundary markers, trying to nudge them off by a few degrees to cloud the survey. I didn't even bother calling the cops, just forwarded the footage to the prosecutor and waited for the show. Court day came us, with tables stacked high with evidence, them with a sad folder and shaking hands. Judge didn't even need the morning. HOA dissolved, fines canceled. Karen banned from ever serving on any board again. Her assets frozen. You'd think winning would feel like fireworks, but it mostly felt like breathing deep, slow, free. That evening, we put up a hand-painted steel sign where the HOA kiosk once stood, federal boundary certified. No HOA beyond this line, underneath private land constitutionally protected. Proceed with caution. Now, a year later, the garden blooms, the house stands solid, the kids run wild, and the chickens do as they please. The best part isn't the quiet, it's the boundary, the statement. Where the kiosk used to be, there's a sandstone slab, steel plaque, and a QR code linking to every document, every map, every video, a guide on how not to run an HOA. Folks come by to see it, to take a picture, to say thanks for holding the line. Some even cry when they realize their land can't just be taken by a bully in pearls. Karen, she's serving 8 years. The security service she hired was under federal investigation long before she ever found us. I still dream of that SUV sometimes crawling up the ridge, but every morning I step out on the porch and breathe the kind of air nobody can tax, fine, or steal. And that, my friend, is what freedom tastes like. So let's hear it. What would you have done in my shoes? Ever tangled with an HOA or a power-hungry neighbor? Drop a comment. Let's see where folks stand on the line or across it.